getting it clear. He's being giggly. Hey, I'm Michael with MacArthur Woodworks, and in this video I build my son a solid maple crib. If you'll notice at the beginning of this video, I'm in a different shop that's not this one. I was in the process of building this shop and was moving out of the basement one, and it wouldn't have worked to build a crib in the basement down there, so my buddy Brad at the Naughty Log let me rent his space out and his tools, so I really appreciate that. This was a really fun build that pushed me in a lot of ways, my limited skills of woodworking, and I also believe it's my best work, and it's definitely my favorite. I really appreciate it. But dang it, I looked at him and messed up. Was he being real cute? So cute. Oh! Okay, I'll cut it. This was a really fun build that pushed me a lot, my already limited woodworking skills, but I used a lot of different techniques that I'd never used before, so that made it a lot of fun. I also believe it's my best work, and it's definitely my favorite work. So if I've made a table for you or a board or something, I apologize, but this is definitely my favorite one. It's very special to me, and I hope that it stays in our family for a really long time. And if you do like this video, I would love it if you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That really helps a lot. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as well. And I hope you enjoy the video. Say thank you. So this is at Brad's shop. Here I'm just taking these rough maple boards and ripping them to their rough width so that I can take them to the jointer and begin the milling process. This is the Laguna 18BX bandsaw, and I had actually taken mine out of the box that morning, but I didn't have power in my shop yet, and so I couldn't use it, so I was happy that Brad let me use his. Here I'm just stacking all the boards I just cut so it'll be easier for the jointer. Editing these videos can get so boring, so I thought I'd have a little fun with it. Now we're going to be at the jointer for a little bit. Just a little bit longer at the jointer. This is the maple I was going to be using for the stiles or the rungs of the crib, so I was really excited to see it had this much figure in it. Now we're at the planer, just running all those boards through that just went through the jointer before we go over to the table saw. Here at the miter saw, we're cutting everything to exact length, and I made sure to set up a stop block that really helped me getting consistent cuts with each rail and stile. Now we're at the table saw, so I put the square side that just went through the jointer on the fence of the table saw and ran all of these 44 styles through to make sure I get the same width on each one. So I drew triangles on the boards before we put them through the table saw so that I could match them back up afterwards. And so that when you're looking at the crib, you see the boards going all the way down, if that makes sense. It looks really cool because I know it's there. I don't know if anyone else knows it's there, but it's really cool. I decided to use my Festool domino to attach the rails to the stiles. And so I put a domino in each end of all 44 stiles. So this took a little while, but I just made sure to make a little jig so that I could make every cut consistent. Out of all the tools I have now in my shop, I think the one I missed the most on this project was my router lift. Running this handheld router 44 times over 4 sides made my hand cramp up so bad, and I know it wasn't as consistent as it should have been, so I really missed my router lift. And now we're to sanding, which is everyone's favorite part, so I don't need to say anything. Just enjoy. Yes, I'm sanding in pajamas here. There's a lot of sanding. So now came a little more detailed work. We had to line up the middle of my rails with all of my stiles where the domino would go and make that mark and spread them all out evenly. So that's what I'm doing over the next 2 or 3 minutes of this video. I made sure to test fit everything without glue the first time around with each of these sides, just to be sure before I glued everything up. This part of the process was pretty challenging, trying to line up the dominoes with each of the slots. So I ended up having to call in some backups with my Bessie clamps to help me out here. I can genuinely say that it was not until this moment that I realized that I was going to be able to do this. Yes, I realize we're already 11 and a half minutes into this video, and I probably had 30 hours into this crib already, but it wasn't until that moment that I knew that I had the confidence and the ability to be able to do it. So here is the actual glue up, which was probably as stressful as it looks. Just a fair warning, the process that you watched me do on the smaller side of the rails, I'm about to do it 3 more times. 2 of them will be bigger, one of them will be the exact same size as the last one you saw. So, trying to fast forward through it to show the entire process, but I also understand if, you want to fast forward or something. This is Georgia weather in February, because the last few videos I had a hoodie and sweatpants on, and in this video I have shorts and short sleeves. In the next video you see me, I will have a hoodie back on. This is also a good time to tell you, as I'm rocking my Walrus Oil shirt here, that you can get 10% off at Walrus Oil using code MAC10, M-A-C-10. This little square from DFM Toolworks came in handy a lot throughout this project. I really enjoyed using it. Back to the hoodie and long pants here. Now we're back to shorts and short sleeves. Thank you to Andrew at Cold Brew Woodworking for this shirt. Here I'm using one of the quiet MVPs of this project, which is Starbond adhesives. It's a CA glue that I'm sure you guys have heard of. It just makes all the little cracks and voids look awesome. And you can also get 10% off over there using my code MAC10, M-A-C-10. This was a very rewarding step in the process, being able to dry fit this and finally see it all together. Here I'm cutting some mattress supports to go underneath the mattress, and I realized I did not have my blade guard all the way down, so forgive me for that. Don't judge me too hard. The moment of truth. Will he get a good stamp? For finish on the crib, I decided to go with Rubio Monocoat. I just used the Pure because it looks amazing on everything I've ever used it on. And I figured if this ever needs maintenance, Rubio is very easy to maintain. So I went with the Rubio as opposed to a spray finish or anything else. But I was very pleased with it. This part of the crib will be what you see when you walk straight into the nursery. And so that knot that I filled with epoxy, I wanted that to be able to be seen when you come into the crib. And it just looks really neat how all the figure pops with this Rubio. And I think that this part turned out great. I actually didn't get that on video, the part where I filled it with epoxy, but I used super clear epoxy and Baltic Day pearl pigments to achieve that look. I think it turned out pretty awesome. I love how this turned out. This really curly maple looks so awesome. My wife picked out the design she liked for the crib, and so of course I went to YouTube to try to find a DIY video to help me. And Johnny at Crafted Workshop had an awesome video that I got a lot of this from. This was one of the really special moments of the build where my wife and I both wrote a note to our future son on the inside of the crib, so you wouldn't be able to see it until you take it apart, but it was really neat to be able to do that. Here she is, finally. This is Madison MacArthur Meeks. He's 2 weeks old at this point. We call him Maddie. Here's 7 months later. I really hope you enjoyed this video and this build. I want to say a big thanks to my wife for supporting me through this and encouraging me and giving me the confidence to be able to build this. I also want to say thank you to Hamsley Hardwood, which is where I got all of this maple and walnut, and I know it's going to look amazing for decades to come. Thank you again to Rubio Monocoat, Starbond, Walrus Oil, Super Clear, Baltic Day, and any other companies that I used. Y'all are amazing. I'd love for you to consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing, and you can also find me on Instagram.